Hi everybody and welcome to the video. So, I just got done watching the Orville Season 3 Episode 4. Wow. Now, as per usual, I will be breaking down the episode, not necessarily scene by scene, but I will take you through a rundown of the episode. I will give you my thoughts at the end of the video. So this week's episode is entitled Gently Falling Rain, and it is a Krill-centric episode. The main focus being on the alliance between the Union and the Krill, which was formed as a result of the Kalon threat. And the episode opens on Krill, and we have Talea from the previous seasons. And she's giving a speech at a political rally. She's against the treaty. She's against the truce that has begun between the Krill and the Union. It cuts to a performance of Annie, which was kind of surreal because you've got all these different species playing different parts in this Earth play. I thought it was really quite cool. And the Krill Supreme Chancellor and his aides are there, being given the full Earth experience, I suppose. We cut to a dinner scene. I say it's vaguely reminiscent of the Undiscovered Country, but it's a little nice, a lot less tense. There's a lot of positivity in the air. The Union are really looking forward to becoming allies with the Krill. The Krill are also looking to make this union permanent. And then it cuts to the Orville, and Mercer and crew are going on a historical pub crawl, which I thought was really clever idea. And they're in a saloon, and the first thing that jumped into my mind as soon as I saw Seth MacFarlane in full sheriff getup was obviously A Million Ways to Die in the West. Now, that film received mixed reviews, obviously. I, for one, thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a right laugh. I may have taken some painkillers beforehand, though. Either way, that's where my mind went. It was quite hilarious. And Isaac walks into the bar and he's got a hat on and a comical mustache. And I laughed out loud at that bit. I really did. It took me right back to the previous seasons where, you know, the Mr. Potato Head and everything. I think the physical comedy with Isaac is great. To see it again, it was nice. But if they overdo that joke, it's just not going to land. Which I don't really want the comedy to get stale. But it's hard for the comedy to get stale because there's very little of it in the Orville these days. The Orville has taken a much more serious approach, and it's become a true Star Trek style show instead of a spoof or a satire of Star Trek. Mercer and Grayson are called away as Admiral Halsey wants to speak to them about the Union. It's all going ahead. It's all going fantastic. But obviously, at this point, you're fully aware that things tend to go south at this point in the episode. Mercer is sat in, I believe, his quarters watching some Krill hit pieces on the Supreme Chancellor. It's coming up to elections, and Talea is actually becoming quite a political force on the planet. She's adamantly against the alliance between the Union and the Krill. Obviously, the Supreme Chancellor wants the alliance to go ahead. So it's coming up to election day, and there's hit pieces, but Mercer states that there's hit pieces for both sides. It kind of mirrors the current political strategies of different forms of government, certainly in the West, where, you know, you'll have hit pieces from one side and hit pieces from the other side. It's all about manipulating public opinion, which I found really interesting that they pushed this onto the Krill. Now, obviously, there's not an awful lot is known of the Krill, even up to this point. They have appeared in many episodes of the Orville. However, it was nice to get a deeper look into it and the internal politics of the planet. They don't really differ much to that of us, you know, our political systems at this current time. At this point, the Orville has taken on the delegation and they're heading to Krill to witness the Supreme Chancellor stay in office and to sign the treaty and get all that sorted. They enter Krill space and they have an escort taking them to the planet. They pop into a shuttle and it's Admiral Halsey, the president of the Union, I believe a senator of some sort. There's a delegation. Essentially, it's Mercer. He brings Burke along. Mercer has a real soft spot for Burke. I don't think as the audience we have a massive soft spot for Burke. I think she's pretty much a know-it-all. She's kind of derogatory towards Isaac still. It's getting a little annoying, But Charlie Burke is not exactly... I guess she's the equivalent of Wesley Crusher. She's just annoying. Hey, that's just my opinion. Anyway, the delegation, which includes Halsey, makes their way down to the Krill planet, and a lot of the visual style of modern sci-fi shows seems to be copying Blade Runner as an example. Blade Runner, but with a frick ton more LED lights. Now, okay, I'll admit I've got an LED light there. That's my mood light to tell you pretty much where I stood on the episode before you even watch my video. The Krill's major cities, and even on Earth, they seem to be just pure, everything's neon lights and LED lights. It's actually quite off-putting. I don't know about you guys, but I much prefer the almost dull matte painting finishes of some of the alien planets, you know. The Klingon homeworld, it wasn't dull. There was plenty to see, but it was very dark and wasn't very well lit, and it looked phenomenal. On a lot of these matte paintings, you could almost see Bob Ross in the background going, let's just put a happy little tree there. Every tree needs a friend. The delegation land on Krill and make their way through the Krill capital. We finally see an image or a statue of Avis. This is the religious icon of the Krill people. And to be quite honest, that thing looks freaky as hell. The delegation's having drinks in the Supreme Chancellor's office, having a bit of a gathering, a bit of a pre-celebration celebration, and here, again, we become desensitized to a lot of this stuff. We know that something's going to go horribly wrong, and it does. The votes swing towards Talea. She is going to be sworn in as the Supreme Chancellor, which obviously will completely destroy the alliance between the Union and the Krill. The Supreme Chancellor is going to challenge this and promptly gets arrested. Guards come into his office and they arrest him and take him away. The Orville is then promptly ordered to leave the system, leave the planet, leave Krill space, as the delegation are arrested and took to a holding cell. Grayson resists and the Orville gets caught in a little bit of a fight, and they're forced to leave the system and retreat. But she tells John in engineering that it's essentially execute Order 21. Something along those lines. It's a code, so clearly there's some sort of plan going forward. Down on Krill, we have Talea. She's giving, again, an address, a speech, kind of like her victory speech, and the Supreme Chancellor is brought out and is promptly killed by Talea, kind of like a public execution. Cuts to the delegation in the holding cell. Mercer and the rest of the delegates stating that this has pretty much gone too far. There's really no saving the treaty after, the Krill have imprisoned the Union president and, committed these acts. That war isn't really something that they can hope to avoid at this point. So some guards come and tell Mercer to go with them. They're going to take him to Talea. And at this point, it's clear that Talea is just not wanting the union between the Union and the Krill. So Ed is led away, and at this point the guards tell Ed to put on a cloak. It's all very confusing for him. He doesn't know what's going on, but they lead him away in this cloak, and then it cuts to the Orville. Now, the Orville is hiding in an asteroid field outside of Krill's space. Talea gets in touch with the Orville, and Grayson obviously answers. And then there's pretty much a bitchy back and forth between Talea and Grayson. Talea obviously trying to get under Grayson's skin. Talea saying, you better get out of here, otherwise we're going to destroy you. You're never going to see home again. So Grayson contacts Ted Danson. I can't remember his admiral name. I can't be bothered to look it up. It's Ted Danson. The Union is going to send some ships over to Krill to try and get the crew members back. Cuts to Mercer being escorted by the guards. There's a little bit of a ruckus. These individuals sort of kidnap Mercer from the guards that are leading Mercer away. Mercer was due to be executed, so at the time it was a little confusing as to what was going on, but it was made clear in the upcoming scenes. So Mercer is taken to a residence where he's introduced to a little girl who is Krill, but not Krill. As it turns out, this is Talea's daughter, who's also half human. you can see where this is going. It is Mercer and Talea's daughter, and her name's Anaya. Talea was obviously pushing, we keep Krill as Krill. We don't want to be unified with outside worlds, and yet she has a daughter who is half Krill, half human. Mercer has a nice little chat with his daughter, who doesn't actually know that Ed is her father, and it's agreed that it's best that it stays that way. Now, the people who brought Mercer in to see his daughter, they're part of a coalition, underground coalition, I believe, that believes that the alliance between the Union and the Krill would be beneficial and needs to happen. They suggest using Anaya in a political sense for Talea and Mercer to acknowledge her existence, so it will change the political landscape and allow the peace talks to continue and the treaty to be signed, and will be beneficial to all of Krill. Mercer tells them that Talea and him are not exactly on the best of terms, as she seems to just have a hatred for him. But obviously we know as the audience that it's probably not the case. They inform him that she basically let him go. He was due to be executed, and it was the guards' job, the guards who escorted him from the Capitol building, to get him back to the Orville. So she was trying to spare Ed's life. Scene cuts to the Orville, and a fleet of ships arrive at Krill. It's time for a big space battle between the Union and the Krill. Cuts to... Really got to put that thing on silent. Cuts to Mercer. He's gone to visit Talea. Well, this is where this episode gets a little goes somewhere I didn't expect it to go. Certainly not around recent events. In fact, I'm surprised it aired at all. So Mercer goes to see Talea and pleads with her to acknowledge the existence of her daughter, to try and resolve this issue. And it goes into the realm of terminations. As it turns out, on Krill, when a couple proceed with a termination, it's a crime. They're arrested, and the DNA is extracted and put into a simulator where the unborn child is simulated as what they would look like, how would they would act, and they're forced to meet the child that was never allowed to be born. Mercer, when he sees this, he says, "Jesus Christ, Talea," and at the same time, no word of a lie, I said, "Jesus Christ." It was that, they're going there, they're doing that kind of moment. Mercer asks Talea if this is really a world that she wants a child to be brought up in. Now, with things that are currently happening, certainly in America at the moment, this was it depends on where you sit. It was either a poorly timed episode in terms of release, or it was a very well-timed episode in terms of release. The show's not messing around with its approach to this, I suppose. I fucking hate scooters. The show's certainly not messing around with putting across a certain point of view. Now, one thing on this channel I do not do is give my opinion on anything political, at least as much as I can. Anything that's a hot topic, I keep my opinion out of it. I'm here to review a television show. But it seems to me that this episode is leaning more one way than the other. There are a couple of opposing points of view that are put across. But anyway, back to the breakdown. Ed is ordered back to his cell, and the Orville's involved in a giant space battle. Mercer, Halsey, Burke, and the Union delegates, including the president, they are brought out onto the staging area for a public execution. And Talea stabs the president of the Union straight through the gut. And then in bursts a couple of Krill who managed to get the delegation out of there into a planetary ship, kind of like a surface craft. It's John, it's Claire, and they've obviously followed, I'm sure it's Directive 21. And it's not really made clear about what Directive 21 is. It's clearly some sort of infiltration where an MI team is left behind in an attempt to rescue in the ship's absence. There's I would say a futuristic car chase through the lower areas of the Krill capital. They make it back to the shuttle, and the shuttle makes it back to the ship. Some pretty impressive shots, I must admit. I really appreciated the level of detail on the Krill homeworld and the ships in general. Episode closes with a conversation between Halsey, Mercer and Grayson, basically saying, look, we can use your child, as a kind of a political tool to bring about this change, but the Union Command Council is going to leave it up to you because she's your daughter. And Mercer thanks him, and Grayson and him go off for a bite to eat for breakfast, and then the episode closes with Talea watching her daughter on a communication screen. And that's it. That's the end of the episode. Now, there's a ton of things that I missed in this episode. There was some gentle comedy in there, but again, the tone of this show has changed. The Orville from season 1 and 2, the kind of playful Orville, I think is gone. 4 episodes in now, and we're not seeing a good deal of humour. We're seeing the odd little tidbit of humour here and there. But the Orville did prove one thing this week, and that is it is not afraid to tackle some of the big issues. Now, as I've said previous in the video, on this channel I am not giving my opinion on anything political, anything that's a hot topic, so to speak. I just want to review the episode, and this episode I actually really was quite thoroughly entertained. It was really interesting that they built on Krill culture, Krill society, the structure of the Krill way of life, some of the Krill history. It was great to see the Ava statue, big and tall. I don't think we've seen it before, correct me if I'm wrong. It has been about 1.5 years since I've watched the first 2 seasons. I may have to go back and rewatch it, if by some miracle I actually find the time. The episode was fairly well paced. Again, as per previous episodes, there was a lot of panning shots, quite long, drawn out scenes, which in some ways are a good thing. Excuse me. In some ways are a bad when they're overused. There were some quite shocking moments. Overall, I was pretty entertained, and I did enjoy the episode. So I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give this episode, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now, just to clarify with the Strange New Worlds review that I did earlier on in the week, I did get a little bit of shit for that because a lot of people disagreed with me and said it was a piss poor episode. I just thought it was a bit of fun. I didn't take it too seriously, and that's why it got a higher mark, because there was a little bit more fun. But obviously, towards the end of the episode, there wasn't. However, yes, this episode, I think, gets a 7.5 from me. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. All I ask is keep it respectful. Let's have a conversation. I just want to give a quick shameless plug to my other channel. It's UK Danger Man Repairs. If you like repair videos, I've got a few on there and a few other little projects that I've done. Head on over there and click that subscribe button over there as well. I'd really appreciate it. Hopefully you'll find something interesting on there as well. And if you like this video, then please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. It would really help me out. And until next time, you look after yourselves, you look after one another, you take care. This is bye-bye for now.
I need the silence, stop the violence of the war in my head. Time's the healer, the eraser of all done and said. And as I fall back to my shelter, I know I'll only find peace in your smile.